Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, the #1 YouTube channel for you to level up your communication skills. Learn the art of public speaking, social skills, and personal branding to take your message to the world. For today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the lifeblood of communication skills. You already know what that is. It's creativity. Creativity is what fuels life to communication skills. Without creativity, you got nothing. Without creativity, you have a lot of logic. Now, logic is good, don't get me wrong, but if you're too logical in the communications world, you suffer. Why though? It's because very logical people tend to be very predictable. And when you're too predictable, you just come off as boring. People can already tell the next thing they're supposed to expect from you. And a human that's really predictable always bores people. I mean, think about someone who has a monotone voice. When you have a monotone voice and I hear it, I find it very boring because there's no changes to your vocal pattern. It's the same thing. I know what to expect. There's nothing about your voice that catches me off guard. It lacks creativity. So creativity is very, very important if you want to level up your communication skills. But how do you level up creativity? All too often, you get a lot of bad advice regarding this topic. You get a lot of bad advice from people that aren't creative. And two of the worst advice or tips, insights that I hear is that the #1 one is all great artists steal. And another one is that all good ideas have already been taken. You'll be surprised how many times I hear this from different people and how many people believe in this nonsense. Both of these statements were said by people that weren't creative, that failed in their creative endeavors, and now they're trying to justify it. So they're trying to be like, oh well, yeah, I'm just gonna steal. Oh, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. There's no good ideas anyways. They're throwing in the towel. But both of these notions are completely false. And let me just disprove this notion before I go on with the video. Not all great artists steal, because think about it like this. Imagine if I tell you to write your story, your entire life into a story format. That right there is going to be a work of art. Do you steal from anyone? Were these ideas already said before? No. That story right there is something that you created out of thin air that someone can never ever mimic. It's sort of like a fingerprint. Only you have that story in all of history. So when you start thinking like this, you start realizing that, whoa, I gotta do a whole lot of unlearning from all this crap that I've heard in the past. Creativity is something that I have. It's a power that I can harness, and it allows me to create new ideas which have never been created before. Never. Okay? If you don't believe me, just check out my channel. A lot of the stuff you're not going to hear in other channels. You're not going to hear in blogs and all this kind of stuff because I'm creating it. I'm creating it out of thin air. And I want to teach you how to do that same thing today. And once you can understand that creativity is a skill set, it's not just something that you're born with, now you start feeling much more hopeful. You feel much more hopeful because you realize that you have the fire for all things communications related. Once you become a creative individual, you realize that it's much easier to think of topics for speeches. It's much easier to think of topics for YouTube videos. It's much easier to hold conversations with other people because you're creative. So you ready to learn how to be creative? If so, make sure you hit the like button for me right on below. So how do you become creative? You become creative by first understanding that you can become creative and that a lot of the laws that you find counterintuitive actually work pretty well in the creative world. One of them is multitasking. Multitasking is something that we typically think is very bad. Oh, no, you shouldn't be multitasking. That's really bad. But in the creative world, multitasking is a strategy. You just gotta do it correctly. Most of us, when we multitask, we're multitasking on a micro level. While in reality, we should be multitasking on a macro level. I'm going to talk more about this soon. Everything's going to circle back to this. So keep that in mind. You're not supposed to multitask on a micro level. You are supposed to multitask on a macro level for peak creativity. So before I explain what that means, let me tell you a quick story. So if you don't know much about me, I am a former engineer, still am an engineer. I did electrical engineering, I did process engineering, I did systems engineering. And once I did systems engineering, and if you don't know what that means, it's basically when you as the engineer need to make isolated components within the system function with one another so you have one final creation. Think about your car, for example. Your car has electrical engineers working on it. Your car has software engineers working on it. And your car has mechanical engineers working on it. All these components alone mean nothing. Okay, it means nothing. You just having a car radio and me saying here, that's not gonna serve you any good. But when you combine all of these parts, now you gave life to something. Now you've created a car that serves a need. That's what the systems engineer does. They basically look at it from a hierarchy view and make all the components work with one another. Well, as I was working as a systems engineer for my first internship, I remember I was working in an aerospace company and I was really seeing how different teams collaborated. And before, what we would do was we would create one system at a time, right? Okay, electrical engineers, let's create your systems before we work with the software engineers to create the software for the electrical circuits. This was a very poor mentality to have because when we were just creating the electrical units, we didn't realize that a lot of the components from software may collaborate with one another, may cause problems for one another. So you know what we started to do? Electrical engineers, software engineers, mechanical engineers, all work at the same time. And we're going to help communicate one another to ultimately perform the system. So I remember when this was happening, a lot of the engineers were fighting with one another. A lot of the electrical engineers are like telling the software engineers, yo, we're better than you. The mechanical engineers are like, yo, you forgot about us? We're better than all of y'all. Software engineers are like, man, you guys are baboons. Get away from us. We're the best ones. And they're all like fighting. They're all fighting. And I thought this was very funny. I thought it was very funny because from outside looking in, I was thinking, what are you guys fighting for? We're not enemies. We are all friends. We are a team. If the electrical engineers don't do their job, then the car doesn't work. Then the aerospace technology doesn't work. If the software engineers don't do the work, then the whole system doesn't work. You're getting the point. Without one, we are nothing. But when all systems work perfectly, they align with one another and they create a brand new system of its own. Ultimately, what I'm trying to teach you is that the components alone in engineering don't matter as much as the relationships among the components. Now you may be thinking like, Armani, like, what is this, like an engineering lecture? Get to the point already. Well, the point from all of this is I was starting to think, how about I apply these system engineering concepts to my life? A few years ago, I remember I was just focusing on public speaking. I was like, yo, Armani, you're gonna become a good public speaker and that's all you're gonna be focusing on. So that's what I was focusing on. But around that time, I decided that why not add in a few more components to my life? So I decided that I was gonna get a six-pack. Now I was gonna start working out and get a six-pack. That was another intention that I set. And another intention that I set was, I'm gonna become a very good cook. I'm gonna learn how to be a top tier chef and really cook some good food. So at this point, I'm going to be focusing on public speaking, going to the gym, and cooking. These are three skill sets that I want to get really, really good at. But how? My entire life I was taught that you're not supposed to multitask on a micro level. You're not supposed to multitask on a micro level. So what does that mean? That's like if I'm going to the gym and as I'm going to the gym, I'm thinking about the next topic for my speech while I'm Googling recipes. I'm not fully present in the gym. But when you do it on a macro level, now you start focusing full attention at one task at a time. So what I did, how this looks in practice, is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in the morning, I would just focus on public speaking. Nothing else. Nothing would take away my focus from those hours of just public speaking. Weekdays at night, I was just focused on the gym. Nothing would distract me from that. On the weekends, I was focusing on cooking. I wanted to prep my food for the entire week. So on a week by week basis, I'm able to do all three of these skill sets pretty damn well. But here's the very unique part of all this. I remember when I was trying to public speak, I noticed every time I was about to get on stage, I would feel a lot of nerves. My heart would beat really fast. And since it was beating so fast, my voice would always quiver. And I remember this was a huge problem, and I was too embarrassed to ask people about it. Well, the next day, I remember I go to the gym, I'm working out, I start doing high intense cardio, my heart is beating really fast, and out of nowhere, I get a call. I answer the call, and as I'm speaking into the phone, my voice is pretty normal. And out of nowhere, I just have that aha moment. Why is it that with public speaking, when my heart is beating really fast, my voice quivers, but while I'm in the gym, my heart is beating really fast, my voice doesn't quiver? Well, for the gym, I expect my heart to be beating really fast, so I'm not really rattled when it happens, and I'm able to speak clearly. But with public speaking, I get rattled when my heart beats fast. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand what I did next. Or maybe it does. What I started to do next was a creative idea being born out of thin air. I decided that every single time that I was going to practice public speaking, I was going to do push-ups right beforehand. I was going to get my heart beating really, really fast. And that's exactly what I was doing. It was beating really fast. I would do jumping jacks, all that kind of stuff. And then I would give the speech. I would give the speech by forcing a rapid heartbeat. And you know what that did? That tremendously helped my public speaking journey out. And this is a tip that I gave on my Twitter recently, and multiple other people were helped by it as well. I got a lot of emails regarding it. So what does this show? This shows that once I invested in 3 different skill sets, I was able to approach problems from different angles. The relationships were being formed between the skill sets, and now the system was being created on its own. So multitasking tremendously helped me in my creative process. Nowadays, I'm still doing the multitasking thing. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do YouTube. Every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do podcast. Every day, I schedule 10 tweets. Every day, I write an email. From afar, it seems like a lot. But when you're focusing it as a system, when you're creating a system out of it, it's not hard at all. It's fun. And what's even more fun is that eventually there's sparks being created from all these different things that I'm doing, and it's making me better as a person. YouTubing has helped me become a better public speaker. Public speaking has helped me become a better podcaster. Podcasting has made me become a better writer. You get the point. So ultimately, what you want to start doing is that you want to start multitasking, and you want to start creating your own life. What are 3 skill sets? 3 skill sets that you can invest in. And here's the beauty. 2019 is almost up. There's less than 3 months left. So this is the perfect time for you to give this experiment a try. 3 different skill sets. Armani, what kind of skill sets should I use? Don't matter. This is up to you for your life. I can give you suggestions though. Meditating, learning how to meditate never hurts. It helps you. That's you building your focus muscle. Learning how to draw, that's another good thing. You're working on different neuron formations every time you draw. Picking up a sport. These are 3 skill sets that you can just wrap your entire week around. And the more that you keep doing it, the more that you are going to be creative. Creativity comes from within. It comes from within. It comes from connecting the dots in your own life, Can you use research every now and then? Sure, but there's a catch. Don't be just studying someone else's research and then just regurgitating the same stuff. You should be following your intuition. You should be connecting the dots. And anytime there's a dot that's having trouble being connected, then you do the research. Okay, I read books around my interests. Okay, I don't even read that many books like that because you don't really need to. A lot of the answers that you have are within you. That's how creativity really works. So start giving this multitasking thing a try. 3 skill sets that you're going to spread throughout the week, and you're going to keep on executing it over and over again. And soon, as the components start to take a life of its own, the relationships will start forming, and you, as a systems engineer to your life, are going to be fueled with creative ideas. It's groundbreaking stuff, and I really want you to try it out. If this video helps you, and you're ready to supercharge your creativity, then make sure you hit the like button for me so other people can see this video as well. And don't forget to hit share so your friends can become more creative like you. We don't want to just hoard all this information for ourselves. We want to share the wealth. So go on and like and share this video if it helps you out. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'll catch you next time.